How about now? Now there will be sound on YouTube. There we go. Should we start this again? Let's have a do-over, shall we? So sorry about that. I should be going and just clipping out the first part of this on YouTube. Hello and welcome to the stream. Finally, we should be there. um, Today we are talking about studio setups, and namely my upgrades to my studio. And what I was saying was that this is going to be a bit of a different stream to regular, because I'm going to be talking about the sort of setup that I've got at the moment and the planned upgrades that I have, and then I'm going to go straight on into a sort of unboxing of all of this stuff. So I've got quite a lot of gear here for in terms of lighting and things like that, primarily lighting, actually, I should say. So yeah, I'll be talking all about that and going straight into an unboxing afterwards. So what I'll do is I will be chopping the beginning off this video in any case in YouTube, just because of that little error. But then I'll put timestamps so that anyone watching on the replay, you'll know like what the main sort of part of it is, and then where I go into all the unboxing of all the different products. I am actually streaming to Amazon at the moment as well as YouTube. Yeah, because it's all sort of product related, so I'll get into all of that. So just to recap the bit that was just missed, and first of all, I'll just say a quick hello since I'm going to be going through this. Let me just say hello to everyone in the chat. Hey, Brian, great to see you here. Finally, we've got the sound. Sorry about that. Had a few tech issues before I started today, so I've had a bit of a reboot, and I'm using the regular eCam rather than the beta today, so just to try and avoid any potential issues. So. And yeah, great that everyone can hear me loud and clear. Okay, so let me just start this again and say that this was all prompted, the studio upgrades, I should say, were all prompted because of a recent episode of the Creators Pod podcast, which is the podcast I do with my Creators Pod friends. And we were talking about our studio setups. And what I was talking about was, my current setup. And I moved into this space in this particular space here. I was streaming from my basement for the best part of, all of last year, actually, from May till the end of the year. And then I moved into this space at the sort of beginning of this year, and it was always talked about as being phase one, and phase two was going to be, upgrading lighting and cameras and things like that. And I just never got around to it because there was so many other things just going on in general, in life, in business, all of this year up until now. But when I was talking about it in the Creators Pod podcast, and hey, Dina, great to see you here, one of my fellow creators in the Creators Pod. And I was saying, that these things that I was planning to do, but just hadn't got round to it, and probably I should. And like one of them is my top-down shot. So I have upgraded my camera. I'll talk about exactly what I've done, but I always felt like, because I was using camo and I would have a mobile phone that I would use for the top-down shot, I always felt like it wasn't as clear as it could be. And as I'm starting to do a lot more stuff on Amazon, I did want to make sure that I had a better camera for that. So that was one of the things that I felt like was a bit of a necessity. But then, I've been using the camera that I've got now, which is at this point, it's a 12-year-old model. It's the Canon EOS 60D. And that's the camera that I've been using throughout my my YouTube journey so far. And that basically is plugged in over HDMI, so I'm not using a capture card. Sorry, plugged in over USB, so I'm not using an HDMI capture card, which means that the camera is only outputting 720. Now, I stream at full HD, but Ecamm does a great job of scaling that up. But yeah, the actual output is only 720. So never mind 4K, it's not even HD, full HD. So that's something that I've been intending to upgrade, but it's just been one of those things that the camera is there, it's switched on, it's got all of the settings set up as I need them, and I literally have not switched it off for, apart from moving into the studio, but all of this year it's just been there and on all of the time. And so I saw no need to change it. So one of the questions that, by the way, the lights that I've got, let me just give you a little quick tour of where I'm up to and what I've got at the moment, because that might help sort of put things into context. Here is my my antique, my camera, the Canon EOS 60D. It is going through a DesView T3 teleprompter, and then for the actual teleprompter, I don't use it for teleprompting, obviously. I just use it for sort of be able to see the output, so I'm looking directly into that now. And then I've got the Lilliput A7 7-inch field monitor just down there. Now, this is actually, while we're on this subject, this is one of the things that I've always felt is, could really do with an upgrade. And the reason is that I use this all the time for Zoom. This is what I primarily use my Ecamm setup for, is for calls on Zoom and meetings and things like that. And so when you're using a small little teleprompter like that, or a small screen, it's great for one-on-one, face-to-face meetings, because then you're seeing the person sort of full screen. But as soon as you get into doing anything where you've got, the gallery view or multiple people on screen, meeting with 4 people, they end up being quite small little boxes. So I've always wanted to, always planned to upgrade that to have a sort of bigger teleprompter. It was fine, it's been fine so far, and certainly it's serviceable. But having something that allows me to have more people on the screen in gallery view is something that I've got, that I want to do. And that's actually one of the pieces of equipment that I'm not going to be demoing today as such, but it is something that I have got on the way. It's this is one of the things that's coming from the US rather than everything else is in the studio from Thailand. So, but that is actually this. Let me just show you this whilst we're here and talking about it. This is a 14-inch teleprompter. So rather than this one, which is a 7-inch screen, this is a much larger screen. So it's a 14-inch for the diagonal of the diagonal glass as well, but it basically takes a much larger monitor down at the bottom. Now it can support, they show it there, I think, with like an iPad, but what I've actually gone with is the Lilliput A12. So the Lilliput A12 field monitor. So at the moment I've got the A7. There is also an A11, which is actually a 10. I think the A11 is 10.5 inches, whilst the A12 is 12.5 inches. So it's actually, although it's A11 and A12, the A12 is basically 2 inches bigger screen area than the A11. So that's the monitor that I've got. That should be plenty big enough to be able to have a really serviceable screen area to use for, as I say, really for things like Zoom. That's the primary use for that. One thing that I did recently, actually, that I don't know if I've actually mentioned anywhere, is that I did add this vertical monitor here. So this is, what's the name of it now? I always forget the name of this monitor. I've got it in here somewhere on Amazon in the carousel, so I'll just find it in here so I can tell you the name of it. Where's it gone? It's, I can't just remember the name of it. Oh, it's just down as a portable monitor. I can't remember. I just quick say hello to James Hicks. Sorry if I'm going to be giving you all gas. Hey, Aubrey, great to see you here as well. And indeed, gas. Thanks. Great to see you here, Keely. This is partly your fault. One of my other fellow creators from the Creators Pod. It's not really, is it? But yeah, we were talking about this in the Creators Pod, and so that's what spurred me on to make these updates. But anyway, this is a small, lightweight, portable monitor. You can find all of the links to this in the description if you're watching on YouTube. Obviously, in the carousel if you're watching on Amazon. But this one is just mounted to a little arm. These are actually really great little arms. So I've linked to these down below as well. But these are, really great. I think they're only about $25 or something like that. But I've got 3 of them. I've got one of them here. I've got one of them that's holding my Rodecaster. So my Rodecaster's mounted to one of those as well. But yeah, I was a bit dubious about them, to be honest, just because of the low price. But then when I actually got them, I was really pleasantly surprised and ordered another 2. So I'm using 2 and then 1 for my wife's monitor as well. But yeah, I like this because it means that I've got my, as you can see now, I've basically got all of my Ecamm controls at the bottom there. I've got the chat here. And then I've got my my camera just up above. When I'm on a Zoom call, though, I'll have the speaker view up there, and then the gallery will be down here. And so when I'm doing these live streams, you can probably see I'm kind of sitting over to the side. In fact, if I come over to this one, oops, let me try a different camera view. I've got a few today. So this one or this one. Where's it gone? There. So you can see that I've basically got my my large monitor here, but when I'm streaming, I kind of shift over to this side of the desk and have everything in front of me. But then when I'm working, I've still got my full sort of screen all over this side. So that was the teleprompter, and that was one of the things that I was, wanting to upgrade. And just because from a usability point of view, and I'm by the way, I'm kind of justifying all of this because Dina asked a really great question the other day when I sort of mentioned that I'd gone and sort of ordered these things for the studio, and she said it'd be really interesting to know, like after you've had it for a month or 2 months or whatever it happens to be, if it has actually improved your content. And I can answer that right away. It's not going to make any difference to my content. In terms of the lighting and the camera, it's not going to make any difference to the content. Maybe you'll see a few more sort of wrinkles and bags under my eyes and things like that with a higher def camera that I'm going to be talking about in a moment as well. But in terms of the actual content, this is the whole thing that we have to keep saying over and over again, is that, really when you're making these videos, people just want to hear the information you've got. They want to hear the video, the content, the things that you're demonstrating, and actually, having a 4K versus whatever other resolution it is, to a point, doesn't really have any sort of bearing on that, but if you've got good quality audio, obviously that's the main one that we always sort of hammer home. I had Laura Davidson on the live streamer backstage podcast. I did the interview 2 weeks ago, and it went live to Amazon and LinkedIn. It'll be coming out on YouTube and as an audio podcast in the coming weeks. But one of the things that I mentioned to her was that basically my studio is built around the Shure MV7 and the Stream Deck. And I wish I had a sort of time lapse of this microphone being the first thing I bought with the Stream Deck. They've always been sort of front and center on the desk, and everything else has sort of morphed and molded around those, basically. So audio is the most important thing. So I'm just saying that again right now, because all of these things that I'm showing are not necessities. There are other ways of doing all of this. But part of the reason that I've invested in this stuff right now is because I am doing a hell of a lot of consultations with people who are asking me specifically about these items. So it's important that I am sort of abreast of all of the technology and able to sort of talk people through it. And so the cameras that I've bought, by the way, are a Sony ZV-E10. So that's going to be my primary camera. I'm still on the Canon at the moment. I'm waiting for the lens to come. So I've got the Sony ZV-E10 with kit lens. In fact, that's this shot over here. Hello. So that one is the ZV-E10. At the moment, it's just got the kit lens on it. But what I'm going to be putting on there is actually the Sigma 30. A lot of people talk about the Sigma 16. I don't really want the really wide shot. And also, you'll see when people are using the Sigma 16, they're basically, touching the screen like at arm's length. Actually, my camera is, double arm's length away. And so the Sigma 30 will basically give me the same sort of crop as this without this sort of distortion. You also get slightly more distortion on the 16 because it's a sort of wide angle. So the Sigma 30 is going to give you a much more sort of more natural look, frankly. So not that there's too much natural about this, but you know what I mean. So that's why I went with the Sigma 30 rather than the Sigma 16. And that came from... That's another thing that's from overseas, so that's on its way from Hong Kong at the moment. Whereas all of the lighting and stuff that I'll be showing you in a moment is all from here in Thailand. So it came pretty quickly. So yeah, that is just this caveat of you don't necessarily need these things. And just to sort of talk again about I had Louis, Mr. Camera Junkie, Louis Vega, on the podcast yesterday, and we were talking about. The MacGyver solutions that we come up with for our studios, and he's a master at it. I've got to have an entire stream where we talk about these things, because a lot of people talk about the tech, the latest gear and the latest gadgets and all of that kind of stuff, but I'd love to hear more from like other people about the creative ways that they've come up with to solve problems in their studio. I'll give you a few sort of little behind the scenes things of mine. So here is my big monitor. Here is my AVerMedia live streamer boom arm, and then up there is the ZV-E10. ZV-1, I should say. So that's what I'm using for my top-down shot now. And this is all sort of hung off my rolling monitor. But if I just sort of pop the thing over the back of the monitor, you can see that I've sort of it's actually bolted to a little wooden bracket. I've got another bit of metal sort of bolted on there that I hang stuff off. And then this is a sort of ball joint. And then that at the moment is stretched all the way over here because I wanted to mount the camera off at the side, and those are some little pieces of metal. So when you look at it from down here, you just see the cameras poking out and the arm. But when you look behind, you see that there's a bit of a sort of hack job gone on in order to put that all together. So I'm all in favour of these sort of hack solutions, and so I think it would be a great stream to have with lots of people sharing theirs. And as I say, Mr. Camera Junkie himself has done some really cool little creations that he's used for his studio setup. But just talking about, cheap and old gear. So there is my old 11-year-old, whatever it is, camera. And then over here, we've got my softboxes, my lights. And these are the lights that I've been using all along. But what is interesting about these, or maybe not, is that they do just have regular bulbs. So there's basically 4 holes in them, 4 slots for a regular light bulb. And so if you want it brighter, you just put a brighter bulb in it. So that is the lights that I've been using. And as I say, they've been perfectly fine. There's not much adjustment of them in terms of temperature or brightness apart from changing the bulbs out. But that nevertheless is what I have been using up until now. But I do want to sort of level up my lighting game. And so I'll be talking about all of this stuff that I've got down here in a moment, and we'll be going through all of that. I'll just check in with the chat. Let's have a little look. I always have to catch myself saying that. I realise that the reason I say that is because it's the way that I talk to my kids. Like if they're coming with a scratch or something, let Daddy have a little look. So now I say it all the time in my live streams. Let's have a little look then. Hey Chris, great to see you here. No problem. Sorry you're late. Well, I was a bit late starting, so we're all good there. Hey Eileen, great to see you too. And how do Pavo tubes compare to Aperture? I've been looking at Aperture lately. To be honest with you, I don't think there's a huge difference. So I've gone all in on Nanlite. I'd already got a couple of Nanlite fixtures. I like the product range that they've got, and so that's why I've gone all in on Nanlite. But Aperture are also great. Same with Godox. They're all sort of on the same sort of level, I would imagine. There are some, sort of higher end stuff as well, but all rather on the same thing. You like the digital. Everybody likes the digital clock, James. Everybody likes that digital clock, the one that I've got on top of my my thing. Where's it gone? There we go. That one. And it's funny. I've seen a few people who've got those, sort of related. Have got those in their studios as well. So I think other people do. It's nice to have like a nice. I've got to be careful with my pronunciation here. A nice big clock on top of my monitor. Hey, David, great to see you here. Yeah, I'm like that. I love geeking out and seeing people's sort of behind the scenes thing, because we always just see the one the thing that's being presented, and that's another thing that Luis talks about is the cone of cleanliness, which is everything that you can see within the sort of the cone emanating from the camera lens has to be all neat and tidy, but then it can be a bit of a bomb site on either side or outside of that. Hey Michelle, great to see you here. We've got nearly all of the creators pod in the house. Little looks are your favorite part of my stream. We did indeed go shopping. Okie dokie. So I thought then what we'll do now is have a big look rather than a little look at some of these lighting fixtures and exactly what I've got and why. So I have been using the Pavo tubes for a while now. That is the Pavo tubes are the ones that I'm using right behind me. So that is what is giving the sort of wash onto the wall there. So that is those 2 Pavo tubes. I've now got another couple of those, because what I wanted to do was, where I've got those light panels on the wall, sorry, the acoustic panels, I should say, that are on the wall behind me, and then I have the backlighting. So that the backlighting is just some I don't even know the brand. It's some off-brand LED strips. Unfortunately, Nanlite don't make LED strips just yet. So if they do, I will be getting straight onto that that path as well. But these are the Nanlite Pavo tubes, and I wanted to have a couple that actually project light onto those two panels there, because I felt like they sometimes look a little bit on the dark side. So I wanted to add some light to those. So these are the Nanlite Pavo Tube 6Cs. As I say, I've got 2 of those already behind me, but I'll just show you what is in the box for these. And I can actually now utilize my top-down camera. And you'll see part of the reason for this is that I want to have a better, more clear image going on for the top-down and be able to focus on products and things like that. That's something that, I wasn't doing it effectively before with my camo and just a camera. But in the box of this, you get obviously the little instructions. There is going to be quite a few unboxings going on today, I should have to tell you, give you forewarning if you joined a little bit late. And so then it comes in a nice little sort of carrying case, and got a little thing that you can screw on the bottom there to hold it with. And then inside, you basically got the Pavo tube like that. What I like about this is that it is actually magnetic. So you can see here, you get these little metal plates. So what you can do with those is actually put some sort of sticky plastic on the back, or double-sided tape, I should say, on the back of them, and then you can actually mount those to stick those to something, and then this will just connect to it. So you've got magnets all the way around. In terms of the functions, once you switch it on, you've got basically RGB. So this is full RGB, obviously white, so you can change the temperature. You can go from what's the limits on this? 5 up to 7,500 Kelvin from there you go, 2,700. So you can see the sort of difference in temperature there. And then the other things you can do with this are obviously the hue. You can change the hue, and once again you can do that with the different saturation. So if you want just a part of this, I can come in and change the saturation so it's still this hue but just sort of less intense, add more sort of white into the mix. And then there are also effects. I don't really use these too much, but there is things like the hue loop. Although, having said that, that is what I've got going on with the little one in the background there. It's sort of cycling through. That thing over there is a Nanlite 30th anniversary lamp, but in there is one of the Pavo bulbs, and the Pavo bulbs basically are a regular style light bulb that just screws into a light fitting, and then you've got all the same control as I'm just demonstrating here with the Pavo tube. So that one I've got actually doing a hue loop where it's just cycling through the colors, and then the same on the one on that side as well. But yeah, I digress once again. They can basically go through a series of other different effects. So as well as the hue loop, then you've got other effects such as things that you might need for simulating things if you're doing movie filmmaking and stuff like that. So this is the welding feature. Explosion, so it'll just do random explosions. Fireworks. So obviously these are simulating effects. Bad bulb, I always think that's funny. You buy an expensive light and then you can basically simulate it being a bad light. Then disco, candle light fire, paparazzi, TV, police car, you get the idea. A load of different effects, basically, storm and so on. So yeah, they're really nice lights. They're nice and portable as well. I also like these for when I'm traveling, although I don't do that too much, but on the few occasions since lockdown that I have been traveling, then I'll take these with me, and they're great for sort of Zoom calls. So if I'm sort of doing Zoom from a hotel or something like that, then just being able to have like one of these on either side of me to give me better lighting, basically, because usually the way hotels are set up, you're always sort of at a desk stuck towards a wall, so the lighting's really terrible usually behind you, whereas a couple of these on either side really sort of improve that as well. So yeah, really nice lights these ones are. They've got a battery life. I think it depends on obviously how you what sort of intensity you've got. It does actually tell you the battery life on it, so this is saying it's just out of the box, so it's saying 0.4 hours, but normally I think if it's on sort of full intensity, you're looking at around about 2 hours. But if you're down to a really low intensity, like something like 20%, for example, then now the time's just basically gone up by 40-50% or more. So they can last for ages. But they do also have a USB on the back, so USB-C. So actually the ones that I've got behind me are just permanently plugged in, and they're powered that way. The other thing that I really like about the Nanlite products in general is that there is the Nanlink app. Now that works on a mobile phone, but fortunately on the Mac, since was it Monterey that they introduced this, where you can actually run mobile apps on the computer on your Mac. So what I've actually got is the Nanlink app running on my Mac, and I've just realized now I'm saying this, Keely, I did see your message, and I completely forgot to get back to it. Keely was asking about how to set this up. I'll get back to that a little bit later today. But yeah, the Nanlink app basically allows you to control these lights from your mobile phone or your Mac. So if I just show you what this looks like, I can bring it up here. So here is, I've basically got this instance of the NanoLink app running. So this is a mobile app running on the Mac. And here you can see I've got some different lights connected. I haven't connected all of the new ones yet, but this is basically where they'll all sit. And then you can go into any one of these and then you can change all of the settings. So just as we were looking at there, you know, the different effects modes. So you can come in here, change all those effects, change the color, change the color temperature, the hue, and all of that sort of stuff. And it can all be controlled from here. But what you can also then do is, once you've got these all set up the way that you want them, you can actually save that as a preset. So you can click on this little icon here, and then come into this one, preset, and then scene presets. And you can create different presets. So you can see that here I've got one for my live streamer backstage podcast. So when I click that, it just sets all the lights up and triggers them all to go to what they need to be for the background for that. And then you've got this one's for Zoom. So that's the setup that I have when I'm on a Zoom call, where I don't necessarily want all the colors. This one's for the Sunday session, which is a stream I do on Amazon as well, talking about products. And I've just got one for lights off, and then this general purple background that I have. I've actually deleted some of these. Once I've got all these other lights set up, I'm going to just go and redo all of these so that they're all then included. But then that means that you can just basically click on one of these, and it will just go ahead and change all of the lights. So that's basically how that works. I'll just pop into the chat a minute once again. And you've got the Pavo Tube T8 and C6s for accent lighting. Yeah, I love all the nanolight stuff, to be honest. And I'll talk through some more lights in a moment. What are the tubes behind you mounted to? Can you send a link? So the tube, yeah, I will send a link. I haven't actually got that in the thing. Let me just go and grab them though, shall I? That might be an idea. Now let me see, which camera should we have? Now that's flickering a little bit, isn't it? Wait 1 second. Let me try and fix this. I did a bit of a reboot before I started because everything was going wrong. I should be able to just fix this for you though. Let me get that right. Got a weird flicker going on. That's a bit better, isn't it? Quit this. Just bear with me 1 second. I'm just closing this down. That should work a little bit better. Okay, I'm just going to disconnect for a second. So these Pavo tubes, sorry to just dazzle your eyes with them. Let me come back to this one. There we go. So they are basically mounted to this, which is it's kind of like a mount for a dual flash, effectively. So you would have this on your on the top of your computer, on the top of your camera, or a stand like this rather, to actually mount two lights, like two flashlights. Really, generally it would be for in a photography studio. But I've just basically used this and then mounted the two Pavo tubes to that. So that's effectively what's happening. You can see the effect, by the way, of what's happening with the background. So it's just a grey wall. Obviously, I can't remember the code for the grey offhand, but thanks to Doc for figuring that one out for us. And then basically any colour that you sort of throw onto the wall is then going to be sort of absorbed by it or reflected by it, whatever it is, so that it gives that sort of color. So this is these two lights that I'm using, and basically just by changing the color of these is affecting the sort of tone on the back wall. So let me just stick this back for a second. There we go. So that's what I'm using. I'll find the link for that. And thanks, Dina. Winchester Grey is the name of the tone of the color there. So hello, great to see you here, transplant helper. Let me know your name as well so that I can address you properly and remember your name. I'll try and remember you. I say that every time, but then I don't always remember, but I'll try my best. When you see behind the scenes, you like comparing cable chaos. Do you know what? When I first moved into this studio space, that was something that I wanted to nail down and get it all nice and tidy. But then as soon as the Rodecaster came in, let's just talk about cable chaos while we're here, shall we? Because yeah. What happened with the Rodecaster is it introduced a whole load of cable chaos. So just down here is where it's most chaotic. I've also got behind here my Mac Mini. This is going to go upside down. Let me try and do this. My Mac Mini is kind of tucked away behind here, so it's a bit of a mess behind there. I definitely need to work that out. But I always felt like, right, well, I'll wait till I've got everything set up, and then I'm going to just tidy it, because I'm one of those people who's really picky about cables. But for the time being, I just thought, leave it, and we'll fix it all after. But that is the Nanlite Pavo tubes anyway. So yeah, I really am a fan of those. They're pretty cool. Chris is saying iPhone apps on a Mac, do tell more. If you just basically search in the Mac App Store now on your Mac, and search for like Nanlink, for example, in this case for the Nanlite app, it will show you any Mac apps any iPhone or iOS apps that are available for, to be run on your Mac, and it will tell you which ones are. I think there's even a little button at the top that shows you. In fact, now that I'm telling you, let's just have a look, shall we? So if I go into the App Store, this is all very much relevant if you want to search for the Nanlink app or any other iOS app. I'll come over to here. It's not. Oh, I tell you what it is. I've got trip mode on that's blocking the App Store. That was very clever of me. There we go. If I put that on, give that one access. Trip mode, if you don't know it, is a great Mac app that basically allows you to control what has access to your bandwidth, so that when you're streaming, you don't want it doing things like Dropbox updates, iCloud updates, all of that kind of stuff. So yeah, trip mode allows you to basically just only allow certain apps to talk over the internet whilst you are live streaming. Although I have got an upgrade in my bandwidth. Doc mentioned recently about this thing of, the internet companies don't automatically just upgrade you to the best package. They wait until you ask them, don't they? And I thought, yeah, do you know what? It's been a while since I asked, because I do always ask, but I hadn't asked them for a year or so. And we've been on 100 meg up, 100 meg down here in Thailand. And so I called them, and now I've got a gig up and 100 meg down, or 100 meg down and a gig up, rather. I beg your pardon. Let me say that again. A gig down, 500 gig up is what it is, and they actually reduced the price of the package as well. So I'm pretty glad that I've remembered to ask about that, having been reminded by Doc. And the other thing, just to make you all sick, is that's about $20 here in Thailand. So yeah, internet's pretty quick here. Anyway, I digress. So let me come over to the App Store. So if you are in the App Store, and if I just search here for Nanlink, because this is very much, as I say, relevant for this. So here you can see I've just done a search for Nanlink, and can you see over here how we've got, it says Mac apps, but then also it says iPhone and iPad apps. So there is no Mac app, so it's just defaulted to that. But when you do any search, you can always look there. Now, it's not all iOS apps. So some iOS apps won't work on the Mac, but a lot of them will. Unfortunately, for me, this Nanlink app is. So that was one that I was able to sort of download from the App Store. So yeah, it's just up here, Chris. That's where you'll find it, just up at the top, Mac apps and iPhone and iPad apps. So yeah, great for anything that you would normally use on the iPhone that you want to now use on the desktop. Okay, so let's go back over here. I'll just finish going through these comments. Hey, Elaine, great to see you. Oh, thank you. I really appreciate the comment there. Oh, thank you very much, Elaine. I really appreciate the comment. And sorry if I'm giving anyone a bad case of gear acquisition syndrome. I will say once again, just to reiterate, I don't think this is going to make any difference to my content as such, apart from the higher quality top-down shot and a bit of a higher quality in here. But it's something I need to do to be up with the latest stuff, to be able to help advise other people on this kind of thing. Oh, look at that! This is always the way. I always get to the answer that somebody else has given before me as we go through. Yeah, there we go. Hey, Parker, great to see you here. I know, I've got feet and legs and everything. Yeah. So where are we now? Just come around here. Jim, thank you. Finally got to it. Great to see you, Jim. Thanks for stopping by. And oh, thanks, Doc. Thanks for dropping the link into the paint. That's exactly the one. And Paul as well with it. Oh, thank you, Keely. You're so sweet. You went and got the link and even used my affiliate link with it. That's awesome. Oh, you learnt about trip mode in Doc's stream earlier. Well, let me tell you a little secret, shall we? Most of the stuff that I talk about, I learnt from Doc too. So, Pavo tubes, why am I using those? Doc told me. Nanlite Forza 60 that I'm going to be using later. Why do you use that? Doc told me. So most of the stuff that I talk about is at some way come from Doc. In fact, a load of the initial videos that I made on my channel was stuff that I'd learned about eCam and things like that, and I'd learned that all from Doc as well. So yeah, I'm often only just remaking stuff that he's already done. Oh, good. Well, you can't speak to a better person than Keely Crisp when it comes to all things Discord. So, so yeah, definitely have to hook up with her. So there we go. So that is the Nanlite Pavo tubes. I am going to get through doing all of this other stuff. Now, in order to do that, I'm going to do a few sort of unboxings of some big items. And one of the things that I wanted to do, and part of the reason for this, is because I am starting to do more stuff on Amazon. And I'll just say a quick hello to, oh, it's actually Dina. Dina's in both places. Thanks for following in both places. And over on Amazon. So I'm just looking at Amazon as well. Drop a little comment in there. There we go. So yeah, in order to do product demos and things like that, yeah, Doc, I haven't sent her the receipt yet, so she's good for the time being. Yeah, Doc told me is your mantra, same as me, Elaine. So yeah, one of the things that I'm going to be doing is sort of more product demos and things like that on Amazon specifically. I'm not going to turn my YouTube channel into an entire unboxing channel where I talk about tech gear. I'm going to still be doing the same sort of stuff. And yes, regular video scheduling will resume shortly. It won't just be the podcast either. So that's part of the reason for getting all this set up, is to just go full on into that. In fact, I've nearly finished recording the episode. I've got my last podcast episode to record next week. And then that'll be me good all the way through till February for the sort of weekly feed of podcasts. So for the rest of this month and January, I'm just going to be focused on regular YouTube content and some other courses and stuff like that. But anyway, I digress once again. So all of the content I'm doing for Amazon, sometimes this microphone gets in the way, and you know, it's not ideal for doing sort of unboxings because you end up knocking it and stuff like that. And what I actually wanted was, I have already got a wireless, a lavalier mic, so I've got a Rode Lavalier Go. I've also got it a sort of an extension for my Rodecaster just underneath here, which is basically an XLR cable coming out. And then what I use is the VXLR Pro from Rode. And that basically looks something like that. And it's got an XLR on one side, and then it's got a sort of jack there to plug in a 3.5mm TRS jack into there, so I can plug in the lavalier mic. But even that one, oh, by the way, if ever you look for these on Rode website or on Amazon, they are there is 3 different ones, and there's one that's called the VXLR Pro, the VXLR, and then there's another one called something else. And basically, it's the one that is the most expensive, actually, the top one that you probably just want to get just to future-proof yourself, because the first lowest level one can't do phantom power. I think that's part of it. And the other one is not good for if you're running it like over a long cable. So if this is plugged straight into the back of the Rodecaster, it's no problem. But if you wanted to have like it on an extension or run it over a longer cable, then this is the one you need. So there's basically 3 of them, and it is just the top one out of the 3 that I'm using. But basically, yeah, it's got a little clip on it as well. So you could sort of clip it over your belt, clip the XLR into the bottom, and then just have your lav mic coming out of there. So that is something that I've used. And so yeah. Oh, I beg your pardon. Sorry, Doc is saying the Pro Plus is the last one. So maybe I've got the second one then. But this one still will work over a long cable. And Doc's got 2. Of course you have, Doc. So that is what you can use to use a lav mic. But even then, it's still a bit clumsy with a sort of cable running over. So I did want to get a wireless solution. Also, because I've upgraded my cameras. So as I say, I've got the ZV-E10, which will be going here when the lens arrives. And I've got the ZV-1 for up top. So I wanted to also have that to be able to take that off to do sort of product demos. So one of the things that I've also bought is, once again, a recommendation from Doc. Is the Ulanzi Claw. So if I just come to my top down for a moment, these are pretty cool. I've already got a couple, but they're actually on there at the moment. So these basically, this is there's two different, well, there's a few different versions actually, but this one in particular is, whoops, let me get this out. So it's basically got a, this one's the one that will fit on an Arca Swiss plate. So I've got my tripod here. So this is going to be for the ZV-E10 to go onto, where this will mount onto the plate. And then it's got this that screws onto the bottom of the camera. And then you've got these little quick release things on either side. So you basically just mount that to whatever it is. In fact, if I get the other one out, because I'll show you the difference between them. So there's another one that is intended just to go straight on top of the, and by the way, you can find the links to all of these things in the description as well. If I just open this one up, I'm not someone who necessarily always cuts these nice and neat, especially not when I'm on a live stream. But if I take this one out of here, the difference between these two is that this one you can see has the sort of the little grooves on the side to just go into an Arca Swiss, and this one doesn't. So another thing that I've got over here somewhere is the Ulanzi MT16. I use these already for just for mounting when I mentioned about using those Pavo tubes when I'm traveling. So I'll have a couple of these as well. And so these tripods then I use to just sit on the desk. And they're pretty good. They're just plastic Ulanzi MT16s, but they do work pretty well. But I'll just show you now how, like, this then can, in fact, I think Ulanzi make one of the claws actually with the quick release built into it. But this one just sort of screws on here like this. And so then all you do is you've got that like that. And then you just screw this plate onto the bottom of your camera, and then it will just sort of lock into there like that. It does also have a lock on here as well. So you sort of squeeze on both sides to release it. But then you can also sort of lock this by moving it to that side. And now that won't come off. Even if you're pressing it, so it just sort of lock it into place. But it means that you can easily sort of flip these things from one device, mounting to another. So as I say, I'm going to have my camera will be on one of these on the here, what the Sony straight ahead of me when I get the lens. The ZV-1 is already on one up atop, mounted to the arm, but then it's going to mean that when I want to do sort of product shots and things like that, I'll be able to easily just unclip it, because I like the fact that at the moment my studio is all great, everything's set up, but it's not great if I want to actually take the camera out and do something else with it. So I'm going to be doing more of that going forward. And so yeah, these little Ulanzi claws are really cool for doing that with. So I'm digressing again, but the thing that I wanted to be able to do then is when I am using this, using my camera on this tripod to do product shots and things like that, there's also some stuff that I'm going to be doing outside. So I've got a drone manufacturer that is wanting to have some sponsored videos done where I'm basically making a series of videos about drones, and that will be on, won't be on my main channel, it'll be over on Amazon. But nevertheless, some of that's going to involve outside work as well. So once again, a need for using the camera with a sort of tripod and sort of a handheld situation. And I wanted to have this sort of wireless audio. I know a lot of people talk about the Rode wireless Go's. There's also the DJI. There's quite a few of these products that are coming out now on the market, and I did the sort of research on all of them. And the one that I decided on was this. It's the small rig. What's the name of it now? The small rig Forza W60. So I'm going to just do this, and what I'm going to try and do is we'll actually hook this all up to the Rodecaster, and then you can judge for yourself what the audio sounds like. Because one of the things that this doesn't have that the Rode Wireless Go does have is the Rode Wireless Go records to the device itself, whereas this one doesn't. That was a sort of trade-off that I was happy to make. These are $200 at the moment on Amazon. There is the Rode Wireless Go's, I think, are. Oh, don't quote me. I don't know. I think they're more like 300 and something though. So these are, considerably lower cost. They also do actually come with lavalier mic as well. So the package that I got these at did actually include the 2 lav mics. But anyway, I shall just show you what these are looking like. In fact, let me just. I can even zoom in on it a little bit. There we go. So let's open these up and I'll show you what's in the box and I'll get it all connected up for you. One of the things that I love about this, as well as it coming with the lav mics in the way that I bought it, there's no lav mics in this box, but they do come with these Seymour, which are a sort of affiliated company with Small Rig, or owned by the same parent company. But what I love about this is that they do actually come with their own box. So you've got a box here. Is that a little bit dark? Just adjust this. Not used to all these settings just at the moment, so to get onto that. But yeah, they do come with this box here, and so when you open it up, it's got the transmitters and then the receiver built in. What is also really cool about this is, now this isn't a charging box, by the way. So there is some charging boxes that you can get for the Rode Wireless Goes, for example, where you drop them in and it does charge them. So this isn't a wireless charging. There's no battery in it. However, it is a charging case. So there's a USB-C socket on the side, and we'll look at the fittings that you get with it. There is a USB-C socket on the side just there. But what's cool about it is, look at this. As well as that, they've also built in this one. So it's got a USB-A sort of built into the case, so you can just sort of plug that in. So I like the fact that you don't have to necessarily think about carrying a USB cable with you. It's just got one built into the case itself. So I thought that was a really nice little design trick. I do like, I do appreciate a good design when I see it, so it was good to see that. I'll just come to those in a moment. Also in the case, what you get in here is obviously the cables, and there is a USB-A to USB-C charging cable in there, and then you also get the cables to actually connect the transmitter, which we'll look at in a moment, or the receiver, I should say. You get two cables like this, and one of them is basically, it's a TRS on one end to TRRS. So this would be if you're using it with your mobile phone. And then there's also this one, different color, nicely color coded, which is basically TRS to TRS. So those are the same connector on either end. And that would be if you were connecting with your camera. Also in the box, and it's this red one that we'll be using to connect to the Rodecaster in a moment. Also in the box, you've got these these really cute little sort of wind muffs, windshields, and I'll show you what that looks like. That does make them look rather cute when it's on. I need some little googly eyes to put on it. Let me show you how that looks, though. I do like the design of this. I like the design aesthetic. So that's what it looks like at the front. It's got the little clip there that you can clip onto something. It's also the right size for a sort of cold shoe, so it will actually just sit right on top of the camera. I like the little display that it's got on the front. Some of these have the display on the top. Well, if you're standing with your camera and you're sort of looking at the camera, and this is looking at you, you can actually see what the settings are without sort of looking down at it. So I prefer that sort of way. But I do really like the aesthetic of that. It's got a very nice little look to it. If I switch it on, so on the side, you've got the USB-C. So it's got a charging cable there as well. Once again, more options. So effectively, there's three ways to charge this. Charge it in the box with the USB that is built into the box. Charge it in the box with the connector on the side, the USB-C connector on the side, or you can charge each one individually. So you can charge the receiver and the transmitters individually, because they've all got their own little USB port on the side as well. You've also got the power there and the output. If I switch the power's on this side. If I switch the power on, you'll see that this sort of comes to life. There you go. That is the little Small Rig logo, and there's the screen. And so you've got the information on the front of here. So let's actually connect one of these up now. And I'll take the transmitters out. So these are both exactly the same. They're a bit of a smaller form factor, so they're about the same sort of height, if you like, as the Rode, but they're just not as wide, so they are a little bit smaller. Again, on here, you've got a charging port on the side, and you've got an input for a lav mic. And once again, they've provided the lav mics as well. And then the actual mic itself would be on the top if you're not using a lav mic. So this could clip, onto your top or something like that. And once again, I just like the design aesthetic of it. It is plastic, and the front here is, there is parts of metal, but the actual sort of the little bezel around the outside, that's all plastic. But then the bit in the middle there is metal. So it's a combination of metal and plastic, but yeah, it does feel quite nice, feels quite lightweight as well. So if I turn this one on, you'll see this one comes to life as well. And then you can see it's actually starting to pick stuff up. Now let me show you the little the little muff that goes on the top, little wind shield. It's a bit hard to find. It's got there we go. There's a little thing that locks in, so you can see that there's that little place to lock it in on the top. And so if I just put this on here and give it a little twist, is that not the cutest the cutest little microphone you've seen? It just needs a couple of eyes on it and a big smile, I think. But anyway, so it does work, as I say, with just the regular microphone on the top, but you can also plug a lav mic into it. It perhaps will. I did the research on, so Doc's asking if it will clip. You'll find out. We'll see. I did do the research on this one along with others, and yeah, we'll see. It's probably going to be fine for my needs. It's not necessarily going to be perfect audio or anything like that, but yeah. Hey, Steve, it's great to see you here. I was just saying earlier that, yeah, I've got my last recording of a podcast coming up, and it's indeed with Mr. Steve Worthy himself. So, yeah. Let me see where we're up to. Oh, you got the same what's it called? The VXLR Pro for the Rodecaster. That's what Doc's talking about there. Thanks for all these links, Keely. You can, by the way, anyone watching on the replay, you can find all of the links in the description as well. Much appreciated. Yes, for I do like these small rig things, and they've got lots of got everything you need in there with it. So we'll see. Right, okie dokie. So let me try connecting this up, and we'll see how it goes. So the screen does go off when it's after a while. So you can just press the button and it will come back on again. But it's sort of power saving. So it's still transmitting, but it's just that's not on at the moment. And what you'll see is on the device here, can you see how you can see as I speak into the mic, you're actually seeing the sort of levels going up there, and then it also shows you that mic B is connected, whereas mic A is not at the moment. But what I'll do now is I'm going to plug in the cable for the output. And then what I'm going to do is connect that up to my Rodecaster. I'm going to take this one, the VXLR Pro, and plug that into the back of the Rodecaster without knocking anything over. There we go. I think that is safely in. And now what I'll do is plug this one in here. In fact, I'll swap these around a minute. What could possibly go wrong? Right, well, it is picking up a signal. Now, what I need to do now is just pop that on the top there somewhere. And let's try something here. We'll see if I can get it to go out. So how's that doing? Okay, what I need to do first is I'll show you the lav mic that I'm going to connect it to. I have actually, because I've got two, I've already put one here already, so I don't have to thread that through any clothes to keep it out of the way when I do sort of unbox these larger things. But these are the, don't know how to pronounce this, Simor, S-I-M-O-R-R. Never heard of them, but they did come with the small rig. I have, as I say, got the Rode Lavalier Go, the first one. They do the Lavalier Go 2 as well. There's a great video from Tom Buck that came out just a couple of days ago, very timely for me, where he was talking about lav mics and how he's not really used to using them so much, and he's doing a bit of an experiment, setting himself a task of actually getting better at using them or learning how to use them properly. It's definitely the same with me, so I'm no expert on this, but he did a good comparison of a series of them. I don't think this was one of the ones he compared, but nevertheless, it was a good thing that he covered there. So in the case, you get the actual mic itself like that. It's already attached to its little clip, little Velcro cover there, and yeah, that is with its little windshield on. You take that off, you can see the actual capsule inside, and also in here you get a little carrying case. Quite a large carrying case, actually, for such a small little thing. But nevertheless, that is it nonetheless. You also have a spare windshield as well in there as well. So that's just the same as that one. In fact, I think it's the same. I can't see why it would be any different. Or is it slightly smaller? It looks actually like it might be slightly smaller. So yeah, I think it is a little bit smaller. So not quite as big as that one, but I'll leave that one on for now. And Doc, thanks for jumping over into the Amazon stream, Doc. He's saying the Deity VLAV is pretty amazing too. That was one of the ones that Tom tested as well. So he tested the Deity. I think it was that one, but he tested a Deity, a couple of the Rode, and yeah, some of the others. I mean, I learned a lot from that stream because I was never, one of the things that I wasn't sure with lav mics was about positioning. And, you know, he did this test and it showed it, you know, up, down, left, right. It really doesn't seem to matter which way you put it around to a point. It didn't sort of make a huge difference to the audio. And yeah, it was interesting to see. I'll certainly be, I certainly will be using those. Be testing this out, I should say. I'm getting distracted by comments here. Sorry. Just quickly say Les314. Hello and welcome to the stream. Great to see you here. Drop your name in so that I can call you properly rather than say Les314. But these are KZ ZS10 headphones, just to answer your question. Let me just put that up just for those watching on Amazon. Yeah, the KZ ZS10. I'm probably going to get some of the Shure 215s actually, but for the time being, I'm using these, and these are perfectly fine. I've been using them. I'm no audiophile, but I do find them, you know, they're better than using AirPods or something like that, where you're relying on a wireless connection. Certainly. So yeah, KZ ZS10. Where did I hear about these? Doc. What of these little things I've got on the end is the SpinFit in-ear plugs. So I've replaced the ones that came with them with these SpinFit plugs. Where did I hear about that? Doc. So it's a common thread through most of my journey. Hey David, great to see you. I shall try and remember that, but if I forget, do forgive me if I ask again at some point, maybe another week. But great to see you here, David. Thanks so much for stopping by. A bit of an unusual stream here because I don't normally do just like full-on unboxings, but I will be going through all of the stuff that I've got, and there's more to get through. But anyway, I digress. Let me continue with this. So also in the box for the lav mic, what you also get is this, which is a basically the lav mic itself has a TRRS, so tip, ring, sleeve. So that's where that sort of comes from, TRRS. So that would be like the kind of connector that you have when you've got basically earphones and mic. So like for a, you know, headphones for your phone or something like that. So if you're going to be using this lav mic with your phone, you would want to use this connector, the TRRS. However, I'm not using that. I'm plugging it directly into the mic input. And so what I want is this one, this TRS, where it's basically just, it's got one less ring in it. And so that does come in the box. So you can plug the lav mic into that and like that. So, and Doc's just saying, yeah, lav mics are primarily omnidirectional. Yeah, it's just one of those things that, like, if you don't, if you just see them, you expect that they're pointing in a particular way. But anyway, so that does come in the box with the lav mic. So what I'm going to do now is, thanks so much, Keely. You're, I feel like you're actually coming to my stream and now you're working. So I appreciate all the links. So this adapter does come in the box with the lav mic. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually take the lav mic that I've cunningly prepared earlier and plugged in. It's still the same mic, by the way, just one of the other ones, because there's it came with two. So I'm going to plug this into there. And then what I'm going to do is take the little cute thing. I can actually take the little the wind shield off the top of this now. I just it sort of twists and unlocks. There we go, like that. I can actually take that off. I don't need that for the time being. Put it somewhere where I don't lose it. And then I can plug this into, you've got a microphone port in the side there. That's true. Thanks, Keely. Yeah, just doing it so that she can get some keyboard maestro consulting credits. No problem. So I'll plug that into there. So now I should be being picked up by the lav mic. So what I need to do now then is, let me just see, because this is actually, Doc was talking about clipping earlier. What I'm going to do is, I have got it going through my Rodecaster now. So if I come to here, I should be able to hear it. Like this, or not this one. Just bear with me 1 second. I will get this set up. Right now, this is going to be a bit weird because I'm hearing myself back. What I'll do is I'll just turn down my regular mic and I'll just put the lav mic, and I want you to let me know how it is all sounding. So if I come over here, take this one down, 1 second. Okay, so this is now basically coming through from the lav mic over the wireless and through to all of you. So do let me know how it is. This is sounding to you. If it's sounding okay. I've not done any setup on this, by the way. So it is literally just sort of it's plugged in. It's coming through in the over the Rodecaster over wireless. So if I come to this shot, I've got the wireless here. Lav mic here. This is now sitting on top of the Rodecaster, so that is the little receiver, and then that is plugged in using the VXLR Pro. That is going into the Rodecaster now, and I'm hoping that you should be able to hear that. So do let me know in the chat. It just needs level, so let me just turn that up a little bit. Level up, I'm guessing. Level up, is that? How about that? How's that sounding? If that's sounding cool, then I will, what I'll do is I'll leave this one for the time being because what I intend to do is actually do some unboxing of some other stuff. So for now, I'm just going to actually push this out of the way, and I'll stick with this lav mic for now. I'll clip it on here. Hopefully it's not making... Try not to rub it with my my chin because I've got the mic just down here. So I think ideally it should be clipped a little bit further down, but there we go. Still kind of low, but trying to forgive me. Thank you, Keely. Let me just try and adjust this a little bit. Whoops, there we go. Try about, how about, oh, I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm boosting the wrong one, that's why. Needs some tweaking. Right, let me come over to here. Right, how about now? Because we can just sort of make some adjustments. Let me just put this in again. So, oh, that sounds a little bit... the noise gate is aggressive. Right. Sounds better when I tilt my head down. Okay, I'll do the rest of the stream like this. In fact, what I could probably do is, excuse the noise, I could probably just try and reposition it and just clip it onto the front. Let me know if that is any better. I'm getting a bit of a delay. It's weird where when you listen with your monitors in with the other mic just sort of plugged directly in, then I'm not getting any delay. So I'm hearing stuff in real time essentially. But this one is, yeah, I've got a bit of a delay. So it's this weird thing of speaking and hearing yourself back fractionally later is a little bit distracting. But I'll leave this on for the time being. And in fact, what I'll do is I'll talk about some of the other lights that I've got at the desk, and then I'll switch back to this one in a moment. So just bear with me a second. I'm going to move some things around on my Rodecaster. So let me just out. What I'm going to do on my Rodecaster is I'm going to drag this to here, so it's actually assigned to this fader now. There we go. Okay, so that is it. Back on again. The wireless causes, yeah, I get obviously that the wireless causes latency. It's just the distraction of it in my ear. I tell you what I'll do. I'll just let me just switch these over for a second. I'll come back to this one just for a second. The reason why I wanted to have this on though now is because I am going to be unboxing some of these soft boxes and things like that as well. So I just wanted to be able to show you that and still be able to talk at the same time. So let me move some of these things out of the way. My desk is now starting to look a little bit like a bomb site. So one of the other lights, I've talked about the Nanlite Pavo tubes. So one of the other lights that I've got is the Nanlite Lito lights. So I had 2 Pavo tubes, I've bought another 2, and then the Nanlite 5Cs is these Lito lights. So these are the same kind of thing. They do all the same effects. So where we've looked at the effects on the Pavo tubes of being able to sort of change the hue and the brightness and all that kind of stuff, and the light and the effects, all of that is exactly the same with these. So let me just pull up these ones. This is, as I say, the Nanlite Lito Light 5C. And what I'm going to do is just come back to this one again while I open this. And in the box, I like in the box of these ones, you do get this little sort of carrying case. Drop that. So you also get the instructions, obviously, in the box. I think everything comes with some sort of instructions. I don't need to show those. And then in the little bag itself, so it's got sort of two zips on it. So in one side, you've got the light, and then in the other side, you've got this. So I'll take the light out first. So this is the sort of form factor of them. They do have a sort of 1/4 inch or 3/8 inch thread on the bottom. I always forget these sizes. And so for attaching it to the top of a camera, you could use it as a light on your camera. In fact, I saw Doc had it mounted to his small rig just the other day in a post. But yeah, these I'm using as basically little accent lights around the place. So for example, one of them that I've got is in fact right down there. So you can see that little blue light in that shelf there is actually just one of these. The other thing that I like about these is, again, as with the Pavo tubes, they are actually magnetic. So there is sort of little magnetic areas on them, so you can actually mount them to just sort of stick them to anything metal. But also you'll see that they come in the case here, as well as having a little diffuser. So the diffuser basically just fits over the top. It's just sort of a little snug fit there, so I can put that over the top, and that just gives you a bit of diffusion on it. But also in the bag, as well as the cable. So this is again USB-A to USB-C. The cable that the charger on it rather is USB-C. It's got a little USB-C socket next to the power. 1/4 inch, thanks, Doc. I do always forget these sizes sometimes. And then you've got all the controls down the side. But once again, this can be controlled with the Nanlite app. So that is something that you can control again. And I'll just be adding all of these different lights into my setup on the Nanlink app, so that I can just control, set up all my scenes basically and control them that way. But what I also like is that in the bag as well, you get these, which are effectively just little metal plates. And the way that you use those is, if I open these up, there's actually 3 metal plates. Now, these have got basically 2 areas where they are magnetized. So there's one up in this top corner, and there's one in this top corner here as well, or this corner. So those 2 areas are magnetized. It's not magnetized down here. It's just literally these 2 places. You can see the magnet basically snaps to it. So what you can do then is just put the magnets on here first, put some double-sided tape on the back of these 2 magnets, and then just like pop that wherever you want it. And that's exactly what I've done with that little light that I just showed you down in the corner. So that light just over there, I basically that's just magnetized, stuck underneath the shelf there. So it means that I can easily just pop it off. So if I need to take it anywhere else, I can just easily just take this off from there. So once again, they are great little lights. They've got the power, obviously, and then there is, and by the way, there is sometimes you may get this and it may not have the link to the app if it's like an older stock model, the same model rather, but just older stock, because you can update the firmware on them. And in order to update the firmware, you need to just go to the Nanlite website. You'll find a firmware updates section there, and then you just basically put the firmware update, the firmware file on a USB stick, and then you plug it into the USB on the top USB-C, and then you switch the power it off first, plug that in, and then switch it on, and it will detect that you've got the firmware there, and it will update the firmware. So one of these, when I got it out of the box, it wasn't linking to the app because it didn't even have that section in it. And so yeah, you can just go and check what the latest firmware version is. But yeah, once again, it just does exactly the same as the others we looked at earlier. So you do have the sort of the white light, the hue, different hues, all the effects, hue loop, and so on. You can change things like language and version number and stuff. In fact, this one actually does have an older firmware, so we need to update the firmware on this for it to work with the app. But yeah, the sort of control of this is basically you've got the button at the top is cycling through the different menus, and then if you this one is for dim, so you've got these 2 buttons here, plus and minus, so you can make it lower light and higher light, change the intensity, and it goes all the way down to there, so that's like 1%. And then you've got this one to change the hue, so I can come in here and change the hue from here, and basically from 0 to 360 or 1 to 360, and that's going to go through all the different colors of the spectrum. Incidentally, I've got one of those as well, these at the moment. So the places where I've got these at the moment is in my my setup is I've got one of them behind me over there, shining the light on the little clapperboard. I've got one of them down on this side, just down here, and it's mounted on an arm that is putting this sort of red light over there onto that that curtain. And then I've also got one of them just down there in the shelf, and then this one will also be going in one of those shelves as well. So that's where I'm kind of using these things. So that's the 4 of them. That is what I wanted to just add into the studio, because I always felt like I am going to be doing some other different camera angles. Generally, stuff in my studio has been sort of face on up until now, but with some of the product demos and stuff like that, it makes more sense to have a different angle. So I just wanted that to not look quite so dark. So that is the reason for these, the Nanlite Litolite 5C. And they're pretty cool little compact lights. Again, great for traveling as well. So when I do start going to travel to different places and going around, then I will be taking these with me, as well as the Nanlite Pavo tubes. So just nice little things to carry around there. So aside from that, I am upgrading the actual, my sort of primary lights, the softboxes that I've got here at the moment. And so for those, I am using Nanlite Forza 60s. That's what I will be replacing them with at the moment. As I've mentioned, they're just these sort of really generic things. But the Nanlite Forza 60s, if I get one of these up. So this is, there's a few different ones of these you can get. You can get like a kit that's got a lot of different attachments in. I didn't actually end up getting the kit one because I didn't need the attachments as such. So yeah, that's why I didn't bother with that. But if I just come into the top-down shot, I'll show you what you get in this. I do like that you get a nice little carrying case, or a nice big carrying case, I should say. And so it does come in its own little case. These are probably going to be pretty stationary. Obviously, these are studio lights, film lights, video lights that people are, often having to carry around to different sets and things like that. With me, they're pretty much going to be static. So I'm going to take them out of here. I'm going to be setting them up, and they're going to be pretty static. Indeed, it does look a little cluttered. I need a runoff really, where I can just sort of move everything off the side. But yeah, it's looking a little bit shocking at the moment. Maybe I'll try and move some of these things out of the way. So anyway, let's have a look in here. So in the bag, it's got a little Velcro straps on the top. It's got these little Velcro straps on the top. So, if you're going to attach a stand or something like that, or softbox, then, you can carry that with it. Cunningly tells you what it is in the little card there as well. But if I open this up, then it's got little straps here to sort of prevent the top from opening all the way. In there, you've got a little shoulder strap for the bag. Got your instructions. And then the light itself is in here. Let me take this one out. So this is the light. It's really tiny for what it is. It's a really small sort of compact light, but it gives a lot of power out. So that is the light itself. And it's got regular fitting to fit it onto a stand just here. And then on the back, it's got the power input. We'll hook this up in a minute, actually get it switched on. A sort of solid switch to have power on and off. Actually turns on and off with a little proper switch. It's got 2 dials on the back there as well for adjusting brightness. So this one is the Nanlite Forza 60. This is basically a fixed temperature, so it's to 5,200 Kelvin, I think. There is a Forza 60B, which is bicolor, and that one gives you that full sort of range of the white light that you can change from whatever it is, 270 to 2,700 to 6,000 something. So that is the Forza 60B. This is the Forza 60. There's also a Forza 60C, which also has the full color spectrum as well. So that is a different model, but I just went with the Forza 60 because I'm just going to have this for a fixed temperature light all the time. I'm not doing anything fancy with wanting to have different effects and so on. So that's what I got. You do still have some of the effects in here, so you get some of the like simulating welding or a bad bulb and things like that, like we looked at with the other one. But again, I'm not going to be using that. This basically just going to be on and then used just as a regular light for my studio. So that is the actual light itself. Also in the bag, you get the power adapter. And this is quite a brick. It's got a V-mount on it, so sorry about the noise. It's got a sort of V-mount on it. Now, you can actually get a handle for these so that you can hold it and you can use actual V-mount batteries on it. I didn't bother with that because, once again, it's not something that I've got a need for. They are just going to be basically mounted to the wall, plugged in all the time, and that's it. But you can get that. And this one also has the sort of V-mount underneath it as well, so you can hang it off, something like that. It also does come with this cable attached here, this little hanging wire, I should say. So this, for me, is just going to be basically wrapped around the bracket that I've got on the wall, and that's just going to hang down like that. And then this plugs into the obviously the back of the light. We'll get this all set up in a moment. Then in here also, let me just take this away while I undo it. Also got the power cable there, nice and long, so it will stretch off to where I've got my power supply. I actually have my my lights all plugged into a UPS as well, so it means that if my power does go down, then I can still power the lights. So I've had a few times where I've been live streaming where the power has actually gone out, and it's been all good. So I do plug my studio lights into UPS as well, and uninterrupted power supply. So also in the box we've got this reflector. Now, I'm not going to be using this actually because the softbox just goes straight onto the front of the light. But basically, this is the reflector. Now, you've got something here protecting the cob, so the light circuit at the front. You don't want to be touching that. You don't want to get any fingerprints or anything like that on it, because that can basically sort of reflect it back and damage it. So it does have a protector on the front of here that just sort of basically locks in place. He says, oh, here, if you press the unlock button and then twist it, there's a little lock button there, so now you can take that off. But yeah, definitely don't want to be touching the front of that. And then you can just sort of attach this on like that. And so that is how that would fit on as a light. We can actually just plug this in just so you can have a quick look before I actually get the softboxes set up. But that is the bag, nice little carrying case. That is everything that is in there, apart from the instructions, of course, which you definitely should read, and then a strap in there as well. So I'll move this one out of the way for a second. It's not just the desk that's getting messy, it's the floor as well. But what I shall do is I'll show you how this all sets up. Did cunningly get a plug handy. If I plug this one into the power adapter, make sure it's off to begin with. And then plug this one into the back. If I switch this on now. Now it has got a fan in it, but actually, depending on how much power it's using, the fan may be on or off. So perhaps if I switch this over to here, there it is. We've got a bit of a spotlight going. What I've actually done there is I've just switched over the effect. So we've got effects here. We've got either flash, different flashing settings and things like that. Strobe lights. Sorry, I don't want to trigger anyone. I hope there's no epileptics watching. We've got the bad bulb and all those different effects, but I'm just going to turn the effects off for now. And then you can change the channel as well. So all of these NAN lights, by the way, let me just come back to this one. All of these NAN lights, by the way, they do have a channel. And so that's how you can change here. We can see this is channel 10, but you can change that. So that's how you can have multiple different lights attached to the NANLink app. But from here as well, you've just got this dim control, so I can turn it all the way down. That's 0. I can just go up incrementally. That's 1%. So you can see you've got a really sort of fine control over the amount of light that it's giving out. And if I shine that onto the back wall for a second, you can virtually not see it at all. But then as I sort of start turning it up, you can see how much it's going up. And we can just keep going up. That's to 100%. So that's it on the back wall. Just to give it a bit of context, you're not really seeing a huge amount of it, but that is the light. This will all make a lot more sense when I hook it up to the softbox. But also, you might be able to hear that the fan is going. So it's getting cut out by the noise gate, but you can hear, like, as I'm talking, that the fan is going. And if I turn the power all the way down, then what you should hear is that the fan will actually subside as well. So the fan does go down as you dim it down. Now, although it's 60 watts, basically the Forza 60, I think the equivalent power is to a, I forget the exact size, maybe 180 or something like that of a, previous generation Nanlite. So much more sort of efficient in that respect. And even though this is a small compact light, once I've got this set up with the softboxes, it's basically going to be, on a fraction of its power in any case. It's not going to be used at full power. So there are much bigger lights obviously out there, but this is going to be more than enough for what I'm doing with it. Thank you. Hey, Kirk, great to see you, my friend. Kirk from Texas. Well, what a pleasure to see you on the live stream. Known Kirk for a long time. From you think, Kirk, you might actually be one of the first people to be on the stream that I've actually met in real life and that I've known in real life before actually starting my whole YouTube channel. So I've known Kirk for years and years, and a friend from over here in Thailand. So great to see you here, mates. Thanks for stopping by. So Caleb, will I be putting these on a stand or a wall mount? So I have actually got these lights. They're all just mounted to brackets on the walls, and I'll just show you that for a second. Let me just turn this one off before I do anything more. If I get this camera up again, we'll get this one on. I'll just put my thing. I'll show you what I did. I basically just, again, I was talking earlier about these little MacGyver hacks that we do in our studios, and this was one of those. In fact, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to try and switch mics again. So hopefully now you can hear me. I should be on the lav mic. And this means that I am a little bit more mobile now. And what I can do is I can actually just talk you through some of the things that I've done in terms of mounting these up. So if I put my phone camera on there, or this camera. So this is over NDI now and with a wireless mic. So let's see how moving around works for me. But these softboxes are basically just mounted to a bracket. So that's just a regular wall bracket, and then I've just got the spigot attached to that you can then attach the lights to. So that's the way that I've got these mounted, and I'm basically just going to use those same mounts for the new softboxes as well. But what I can do is, for the time being, what I can show you is if I come to this one. There we go. If I just grab a regular stand. And just to prove, yes, I do have legs, Dina, legs and feet no less. But if I just get one of these stands up, this will be useful to sort of show this, because I can show you how this, first of all, obviously just clips onto the top of a stand. So what I'll do is I'll move this out of the way. I'll just hang that on there so it can actually hang on that. And then this will just fit onto the top of a regular light stand, like that. So I am going to be mounting these to to the wall, obviously, but I will just put this here for now. And I'm actually going to take this one off it, because what I'm going to do is going to set up one of the softboxes now. So I'll talk a little bit about the softboxes. So with the lighting, I've got two lights that are identical basically at the moment, but what I'm going to be doing is having a larger key light, which will be a 90 centimeter, but then I'm also going to have a 60 centimeter light on the other side. So my key light's going to be over here, and the fill light's going to be here. I've also got another Nanlite, which I'll talk about in a moment, which is another flat panel from Nanlite, but I'll talk about that in a little moment. So let's have a look at these softboxes, and I'm going to start with the 60, so that's a bit of a smaller one. So this is the Nanlite 60. It's designed for the Forza 60, by which I mean the Forza 60's got a specific size of connector. There is a sort of industry standard connector as well called a Bowens mount. I'll come on to that in a moment, which is slightly different. But this Forza 60 softbox will actually go directly onto this light. So it comes in its own little bag, just like that. Let me know if there's any audio issues. I am once again on this wireless mic now, so we'll see how that goes. So in the bag, looks something like that. You then have an adapter, and I'll talk about that in a moment as well. That is so it will work with the Bowens mount. And then you've also got the grills, the the diffuser and some instructions. We'll come back to the diffusers in a minute. There are two of those. So in terms of setting this up, you basically have these little clips in here that sort of lock everything into place. So I'm going to open these out just a little bit. What you want to do with this is make sure all the Velcro is undone around the outside of it, and then you're basically just opening these out and start doing them at opposite sides first of all, because otherwise it'll start pulling to one side. So if you just literally pull them, they lock into place. So I've done two opposite sides. Now I'll do sort of 90 degrees around from that. Open those out, and as you pull them, you should see it just basically clicks and locks into place like that. And then just basically go and fill in all of the other side like this. So now basically we've got all of those attachments are now locked in. To release them again, you just basically push these and you can hear the sort of clunk as it releases. But those are now all locked into place. And then it's just a case of folding this back. And then there's Velcro on either side there that just sort of locks them, that seals those all together. Same on here. So the attachment that it's got is basically looks something like that, and that is the attachment that will then just fit directly into the front of the Forza 60. But I mentioned before there's this industry standard which is the Bowens mount, and you also do get that adapter in it as well. So this is the adapter. It looks very similar. It's got these sort of three little lugs, if you like, that fit into the fitting. Mic volume slightly lower, thanks Caleb. I'll just nudge that up a little bit. In fact, I can actually do this in here as well. Let me just try boosting that in there. Hopefully that should be a little bit better. A bit of a boost like that. And so, yeah, this fitting here, the Bowens mount, you can just unscrew this one and you can replace this ring with the Bowens mount, so it will fit on any light with a Bowens adapter. But basically, this is the light. You can see the reflector inside. So then it does come with these diffusers in here. So there's two of them. One of them is slightly thicker than the other, and that basically is just round. It's got Velcro all around the edge, and then you'll see in here this black strip is actually just Velcro as well. And so what you can do here is, if I come back out, this basically you just fit all the way around the inside. Just like this. And then that is the diffuser is then fully on the light there. And so let's on the softbox, I should say. Now there is also what they call an egg crate or a grid that goes on the front of this. That's one thing that is still on its way. That one hasn't arrived. I'll show you when we get to the 90 centimeter softbox though, because that one has arrived. So I'll demonstrate that for that. But this, let's just take the protector off the light now. I'll put this down maybe first. So this one should just slot, whoops daisy, of course he's dropped it. This one should just slot in here, like this. There we go. And then I'll tighten the nut up on the light itself. And now what I'll do is, if I turn this on, you'll see the effect of it. So that is the light is actually now on. But yeah, really, by the time I've got this all set up, I mean the brightness, I don't know the exact sort of percentage, but this is on sort of 17% at the moment. But actually, when I've got it all set up with the camera in front of me and the way that I want it, I don't envisage that I'm going to be using anywhere near even half of the power of this light. So that's it at sort of full brightness over on the back wall. but yeah, that's way too bright. So yeah, the Forza 60, perfect for what I'm doing and my sort of use case of this. What I'll do now though is I will show you the 90 centimeter, because this is the 60 centimeter made specifically for the Forza 60, and just with that mounting. The thing that's different about the 90 centimeter one is that obviously it's bigger, so it's 90 centimeters as opposed to 60, but it also does have a Bowens mount. So for that one, you do need to have the adapter to take it down to work with the Forza 60. So I'll show you what this one looks like. This is where the office, the studio suddenly starts getting a lot more full. What I should be doing is actually just in my Amazon, I'm just going to come over to this particular thing. The whole point of being on Amazon is actually highlighting the very things that I'm talking about. So let me just highlight this while I go through. Right, where is it gone? There we go. This is the one. Hey, Bicky, great to see you here. Thank you so much, by the way, Bicky, for posting your pictures of your studio and showing your setup. I really appreciate that. I do. You've got one of my favorite setups with your. It's also neat. It's also neat as well with the 4 Stream Decks, the Rodecaster, and all that sort of stuff. It's yeah, I really love it. So thanks for sharing that. I'm just incidentally, just to answer your question, I'm just talking about studio gear upgrades and things that I'm doing to my studio. Just for anyone who's joining late. None of this is necessary. It's not going to make any difference to the quality of my content, but I am talking and having consultations with lots of people about, studio gear and things like that. So most people are not necessarily going to be wanting to do some of the studio hacks that I do to make things work. So I do want to just make sure that I have got the information on all of the latest the gear and stuff like that. So that's part of the reason for this. And you can bet there's going to be a course coming out at some point on studio setups. But anyway, so this is the 90 centimeter softbox. Same sort of process as we've just looked at with the 60. It's just on a bit of a bigger scale. So obviously silica gel in there as we get in everything. Again, comes with a bag. As I mentioned with the lights, the light itself comes with a carrying case, because obviously people are using these, on sets and things like that and lugging them around. So great that it comes with a case. Obviously, in my case, it's just going to be fixed to the wall and really pretty much never moved. But let's have a look at this one. So I'm going to open it up. And in here, same deal as before. The difference being, this one has actually got the Bowens mount on it, so it doesn't have the mounting that we looked at in the 60 centimeter. So it's just got only the Bowens mount, but there is an adapter for this as well. So I got that separately. Same deal as before. We've got the 2 different diffusers in there, different thicknesses. I'm just going to take one of those out for the time being, and then I'll move the bag out of the way. So exactly the same process as before. There you can see the Bowens mount, same deal. We're just going to pull the flaps down on either side, and then it's just got these metal things, much like an umbrella, but each one just locks into place individually. So as you sort of pull it out, it will just have a nice little click, and it's clicked into place. So that's now fixed. So do the opposite sides first again, then move sort of 90 degrees round. Do those ones. And then like that. This is going to be about the size of a tent for a small toddler. So I'll open this one out like this. Now this one is actually, although it's 90 centimeters, so it's bigger, obviously in depth, it's actually a slightly different profile. So if you look at this one, this is more sort of just a sort of dome shape. This one is parabolic, so it's got a slightly different sort of form factor to it. The same there, but it's got these long extended sides out in terms of sort of directing the light out of it. That's the difference there. So this one is going to just Velcro in place down the side. And just as with the 60 centimeter, this one Velcros, connects there all the way around these 4 spots. Now, you may think that is quite on the large side. So with the lights, the point of them being larger is if you're sitting with the light sort of in front of you, if you've got a really small light, then it's going to look a lot harder than if you've got a much bigger, wider light source that's basically casting the light over your, in this case, my face, more uniformly. So it just gives a more sort of even light, and that's the reason for, you know, having a large softbox. I'll show you where these are all going to go. I'm not going to actually set them up and hang them right now because yeah, it's a bit of a going to be a bit of a mess to actually do that. Or maybe I could get this one up actually. Perhaps I will. Perhaps I'll get this one up today, and then the one that's behind the computer I'll do a little bit later. But here is the thing open. I'll get the diffuser. Now this one I do actually have the grid, the egg crate for it. So I'll take the diffuser here. And once again, we're just going to put this all around the edge. This is where I need a little smiley face on the top of my head, as Rich Graham once drew for me. I'll be talking about my hair light a little bit later, and the irony of that name is not lost on me. For the time being, I'll just get this one done. So we're almost round to the other side now. And then that is the diffuser on. I could probably neaten that up a little bit, but exactly the same as we've just seen. Now what I've got that's different here though, as I say, I've got one of these coming for the 60 as well. It's just not arrived yet. But this is the Nanlite egg crate. And what that does, if I open it up, there you go. So this is basically going to be used to direct the light. So if I get out of the way of it, you can see how it's basically got just a fabric material there. Sorry, I'm just seeing Rich Graham's comment there. Crawl inside the light like Callie. That was one of the funniest moments of ever in Doc's office hours, was where Carly was trying to put up. She'd got one of the sort of lantern style lights, so these soft boxes are directing the light out. You also get the big sort of round lanterns that just dissipate the light all the way around. The setup process for those is slightly different. You have to sort of almost get inside it and pull this cord inside to hook it all together. And yeah, Carly from Chocolate Twist Yoga was setting one of those up, and it almost ate her at one point. It was the funniest thing ever. It was huge as well. This is 90 centimeters. I think her one was like a 1.2 meter or something like that. So yeah, really massive. That was hilarious though, wasn't it, Rich? So this is the crate though, and it's just got Velcro around the edge there. So that's going to basically just fit with the Velcro around the edge here. So this one, just drop this in here, and then I can just go around and basically just attach this all the way around the side. And what you'll see is that we've then got this sort of mesh over the front of it. And the point of this, by the way, is to help sort of direct the light so that you don't get the light spilling out. Obviously, I'm using this as my fill light, sorry, my key light that I want it to illuminate me, but what I don't necessarily want it to do is spill out over to the back wall, because I want to have my coloured light on the back wall. So I don't want this to be directed. You saw when I tested the Forza 60 out with just the you know, the regular light, it just completely washed all the colour off the back wall because it was so powerful, and I don't want that to happen when I've got this set up as my primary light in the studio. So that is the sort of effect of it. You can see that when the light is pointing at you with that camera, you can still see all of the face of the diffuser, the white diffuser. But if I turn it off axis slightly, then it starts to sort of block the light out. And so that would mean that, you know, at this point here, where you can't see any of the diffuser, there'd be no light sort of spilling out to this side. So that is the 90 centimeter softbox with the Bowens mount. Now I mentioned that there is an adapter if you want to use this with the Forza 60, and somewhere it's here. This is it. It is the very handily named ASBAFZ60. And what this is basically just an adapter ring that takes the Forza 60. The Forza 60 would connect into that sort of central ring there. And then on the other side, it's got the Bowens mount. So this is what I will use to actually mount that light. Now, perhaps I can actually potentially do this. Now, thinking about it, let me just double check this. Let me see if this is something that I can possibly do, because try this one. I'll see if this light fitting, I can remove this. There we go. Well, I've unplugged it at least, so that's one step. But what I need to do is actually just disconnect it from here as well. And to do that, just bear with me 1 second while I remove this from here. There we go. So what I'm going to do is, if you can still see, I'm going to remove the light fitting that I have got on the wall here, and let's just try and put the Forza 60 on here. So I will just show you these, because these are the soft boxes that I have been using on all of my videos to date. So let me just come back to this one. So these are just generic soft boxes. There's no link for these. I don't know what brand they are, but I will just show you what's inside them, because it is quite comical. So there you go. They've got 4 bulb holders, and at the moment I've been using just 3 of them, because that's the level of temperature adjustment and light adjustment that you've got. So that's what I've been using for all of my videos on Take One Tech up until now, just regular household light bulbs. And I think one of those is actually a warm white, whereas 2 of them are cool white. And that's how I've adjusted the temperature. So when we talk about, like, you don't need the latest and greatest, yeah, that's what I've been using to power my studio up until now. But what I am going to do is I am going to actually get this 90 centimeter softbox up. So what I'll do is I'll first of all take off the 60. So I'm going to take off the 60. I will just pop this back on just so that I don't inadvertently, because I'm the sort of person who is a little bit clumsy at times, and I will just inadvertently touch the front of that. So here what I can do is I can actually attach the Forza 60 directly onto that light stand. So let me just come back to this view once again. We'll come back to this one actually. So you probably can't see where I'm going to attach it, but I could actually come to the phone view, in fact. Let me get this one up. I hope this is all coming over okay with with wireless video and wireless mic. But there you go. I'm just going to hang that on there for the time being. I will tidy all of this up afterwards, of course. And then I'm going to drop this one on here. So these are, by the way, these spigots, you can just buy these. So this is just a regular bracket, you know, a shelf bracket. That is just a spigot that's, you know, a few cents or $1 or something like that. And then what I'm doing now is I'm just going to drop the nanlite over the top of the spigot. Whoops. I'm trying to do this whilst holding the camera at the same time. There you go, just like that. Do need to make sure that's tightened up. And then that is the light is now attached. Sorry about this. I'm watching the screw and not watching the camera. So that is the nanlite in place. So what I'm now going to do is, if I will switch over to this other view now. Let me know how this is going. Yeah, it'd be interesting to see what the difference is, Caleb, won't it? So this one, you've got a couple of options really. You can attach it to the light itself first, and then the softbox. I'm going to attach it to the softbox first. It does actually have its own mount, so you can actually mount this first onto the spigot, and then you can mount the nan light, the light fitting after. I'm going to do it this way round. I'm going to mount it to the Bowens mount on here first, because it actually gives me something to grip then. It's got the same sort of lock. So I'm going to just lock that in place. Where is it? So that is going to just go onto here, and we'll pull the little thing and lock it in place. So I need to pull that down like that. There we go, that's twisted. So that's now locked, that's not coming out anywhere. And now what we can do is, I'll come back over to this one. And first of all, I'm going to take off that little protector. And then I'm going to come over here and hang this onto the front. I will be adjusting the position of some of these things in due course, but for the time being, I'll just fit it on here. Where are we? Just trying to get it to locate in the little holes. Just bear with me a second. I tell you what might be actually an idea. Having said that I'm going to mount the thing on, I think it will be actually easier if I mount the light first. And then we'll put that all onto the spigot. That would make a lot more sense. So let me come around here, put that in here first. Sorry, this is not a very good, doesn't make for very good viewing this, but I'll get there in the end. So we're now getting this locked into place. Try and bring that down. Bear with me a second. Get there in the end. There we go, finally. Right, and now I'll put that back up on the spigot like this. There we go. Okay, we're finally there. I think I might need to just that slightly. Okay, it's not in the ideal position, but you get the idea, hopefully. What I'll do is I'll just move this round this way if I come back to this camera. So where are we? There you go. So now you can see that I've got this light here. And if I was to be able to find my chair in amongst all of this mess, then that is basically going to be, I will actually move this, I'll move the mounting so that it is much closer, so it's basically just coming like right over the top of the Rodecaster. I need to adjust the angle as well. But if I switch this on now, I can find the switch. There we go. So that is the light on, but that is now, the light's all been directed here, so there's very little spill over to the back. Now if I come back to the front shot, over here, that's probably a little bit on the bright side. Let me just turn that down a sec. Yeah, so probably still needs to go change that just a little bit, but yeah. Yeah, there is a hard on-off switch. So there's an actual physical hard on-off switch, and then there is a sort of dial as well. Hey Richard, great to see you here as well. So yeah, that is how that is looking. Let me come back to this shot now. Where are we? Phone cam, there you go. So that is how that's looking, sort of mounted up there, hanging off the wall. I've got to just adjust the mounting. I will actually move it out of the way. There we go, like that. But that I'm going to move all the way forward, so I'll change that mounting point. So this really will actually, when I've finished up, basically what I'm going to have is the Rodecaster will be here. This will be like another 2 foot closer. So basically it's going to fill in this entire space. That's where I'm going to have the light. The 60 is going to go up there. So that's 60 centimeter light. Let's just show you this one. So this is the 60. This is my sort of fill light. And this one will be, this is dangerous, isn't it? Trying to film this, do this all at the same time. This one will effectively be up here. And so the key light is the main light that is, casting light on your face. Then the fill light is just to fill in those shadows and get rid of the shadows on your face. Now, one thing that you also do have though is a if I look at the camera, it might help, is what they call a hair light. So that's something that's coming from the back that is going to give you a bit of separation from the background. I don't really have much hair, but nevertheless, that is the task that it performs. So let's have a look at how that works. I've just noticed the lights have gone off on the back. I must have unplugged them inadvertently. So they've switched off, but never mind. So if I come back to this shot, what I can do is, it's looking a little bit dark on that side. Let me just turn that up just a little touch. There we go, got a little bit more light. The ones on the back have gone off, but never mind, I shall sort those out after. So for the fill light, sorry, the hair light, which is the one behind me. In fact, let me just switch back over to my regular mic, because hopefully I shall be sitting down for a little while now. Find my headphones, and I'll plug those in. Thanks to Willa Peterson. Sorry, I'm just getting around to the messages in Amazon. Thanks for following. That was a little bit a while ago, but thanks for following. So I am, for those watching on YouTube, I am actually streaming to Amazon as well for this, because obviously I'm talking about lots of products. So in terms of the fill light, which the hair light, which as I say is just going to give a bit of separation from the background, I'm actually using this. So once again, another Nunlite product. This is the Nunlite Mix Pad. Where are we? Making sure for those watching on Amazon, I've got the right things in the carousel. So this is the Nunlite Mix Pad, and in the box you do actually get a power cable with this one. So whereas the Nunlite Pavo tubes and the Lito lights, they're all sort of battery, and you get the USB cable to charge them. But yeah, this one actually, you can use a battery. It doesn't come with a battery, but you've got the connector there for the I forget the type of battery it is now, actually, having said that. But just the standard sort of camera battery that you can get to slot on the back that they use in lots of light fittings. But this here comes with the cable. And so if I open this one out, what we can do here is take this one out. I'll show you how this looks. Sorry for the rustling. I know doesn't make for good viewing, does it? Let me just get this one open as well while we're at it. So this is the mix pad, and it's basically, if you look at the Lito light, which we've already had a look at, it's kind of similar to that in terms of the actual lighting itself inside. So this one's got the same sort of style of lights inside. The mix pad is basically, if you think about sort of 3 of these side by side in terms of the number of the little LEDs there, it's probably not quite 3 actually. It's maybe like 2.5 in terms of the number of LEDs. So about 2.5 times the sort of power. But it's exactly the same thing as we've just looked at. So if I was to plug this in, there we go. It's by magic. As I say, this one just has a power cable, so this plugs into the back. You've got the same sort of functions. This one does also have that sort of hard on-off switch. If I come up here, it's got an actual switch on the back, and then there's a dial. So whereas with the Pavo tubes and so on, there is, you know, buttons to switch mode and then buttons for up and down to, you know, adjust the hue and things like that. This one is basically got a power button here. It's going to come on in a minute. You've got all of the different settings to adjust here, go through the menus, exactly the same menu system as before, so in all of the other ones. Once again, this can be controlled with the app as well, so this will just fit into all of my sort of Nanlite setup where I'm going to be controlling everything from the app, and you can just sort of cycle through all the things. We can change the hue and everything. I am only really going to be using this just with white light at, you know, 50 to 100 Kelvin, or whatever it happens to be. Thereabouts. But yeah, once you've got this, you can then change the brightness. So I can dim this all the way down. If I go into that setting, there we go. There we go. So I can just dim this all the way down using the dial. So this is what I'm going to be using for my hair light. This has actually got an interesting feature as well, which is it's got hard and soft light, and it kind of almost simulates having a diffuser. I'll just turn this all the way down, just so that I can actually point it at the camera without sort of blowing everything out. If I turn it down to like, you know, 2% or something. There we go. You can see perhaps that it's got this sort of array of bulbs. So I'll just turn that up just a little bit now. It's going to get blown out, whatever I do. But you can see it's got this sort of array of bulbs. But it's also got a soft light setting. And if I press that, it's going to put it this soft light setting, and it's almost like it's got this sort of diffusion in front of it. So now you can't actually see the individual bulbs. It is, or the individual LEDs, I should say. It's got this sort of layer in front of it. So it does actually give a softer light without using a softbox. I think you can get a sort of softbox for this. I've not been able to find it in here, and doesn't seem to be available on Amazon. So I'm not sure about that. I know there's a larger one of this. So this is the Mixlight 11C. There is also a 26C, I think, which is a much larger panel. But for me, this is going to be just perfect brightness for, you know, even just using a fraction of its power to have mounted up in the top. And incidentally, I'm going to be mounting this. Find my my trusty camera, my trusty iPad. I'm going to be mounting this one right up there. So I've got that aircon unit at the moment, and that is where my over the shoulder shot is. So that is that little camera that I'm not this one. Where is it? This one. So you can see I'm holding this up to that camera. So that is where I've got that little over the shoulder camera mounted. Is just up there. At the moment, that is just a little AVerMedia HD webcam. I will actually be moving this AVerMedia 4K cam up to that spot when I swap the ZV-E10 over to the main camera, and I'm going to put the main camera and this small teleprompter over there because, as I mentioned, I am getting a larger teleprompter into the setup. So I want to have it so that when I look over at the secondary camera, I have still got the sort of the feed going out there as well. But anyway, I'm going to be basically hanging the hair light up off here, and I've just noticed, yeah, Rob, yes, hair light. The irony is not lost on me. But you'll notice that actually, though, that hair light it is singular. You know, it is just one hair, so it's not a hair's light. It is a hair light, so it's for my one hair. And it is indeed, Bicky, 6. It is just 7 a.m. I get up at 3 though, so my regular weekly live stream's always 5 a.m. Because yeah. It's a good time for me. I mean, it's partway through my day already. In fact, you know, in a few hours, I'll be starting to think about bedtime. So it's all good. So that is the I've digressed once again, as I often do. That is, if I come down to the top-down shot, that is this this Lito, sorry, the MixPad 11C, and that's going to be my that's the sort of last part of the lighting. So in terms of the lighting that I'm sort of upgrading, this is for the hair light. I've got the Nanlite Forza 60 units for the two key light and fill light, 90 centimeter softbox for the key light, 60 centimeter for the fill light, and then these Lito lights for the little accent lighting, and the Pavo tubes is what I'm using for some other lighting. One thing I'll say about the Pavo tubes though, because I mentioned that part of the reason for me wanting to do those, that's right, yeah, Doc. We should call it the skull light from now on. That's what I'll call it, the skull light. So the yeah, one of the although the wash light, the fill light on the back wall is sorry, the light on the back wall that is from those Pavo tubes, they just seem to have gone off. I don't know if I might have inadvertently triggered those off with the app when I was playing around with the app. Let me just see if that is the case, because I should be able to just switch them right back on again from the app. I think I might have pulled the plug on them. That might be it. Might be the battery gone. But anyway, so what I wanted to do though was I did want to put like directional light directly onto the these sort of acoustic panels. So these sort of dark squares that you can see on either side of me, those are acoustic panels. They're stood off from the wall. I did a whole video. I should probably link about that in the when I first did this studio upgrade like a year ago. And those are something I did to improve the acoustics in the room to reduce the the room sound, if you like. But anyway, those are stood off the wall, and I've got those LED lights behind that are coming out. Yeah, I'm going to sorry, just getting distracted. I'm going to direct the Pavo tubes. These other two are going to be directing light onto those panels. Now, in order to do that directional light, somewhere around here, in amongst all of this chaos on my desk, is these cutest little crates you've ever seen. So this is the crate or the grid for the Nanlite Pavo tubes, and that's the sort of size of it. But it's got these. Let me come to this one. That's what it looks like. It's got these little elastic straps on the back, and basically what you do is you just slot the light, the Pavo tube, into there. And then what you have is you've then got, there you go, the light is inside there, and it gives you a sort of directional beam from it, basically. So if I turn this one on, then this is now a lot more sort of directional. And so that one, I've done the little test of it already, but that one is basically going to be how I'm going to have these mounted to the wall. So I'll get a couple of brackets on that back wall, and they will be... they'll actually be, in fact, you probably can't see it in this one. Let me come to a different shot, this wide shot. So over on that side, you can see I've got basically the panel on the back wall. I've then got another panel just here. And then there's actually two more here as well. So here and here. Well, basically, I'm going to stick a bracket right where my finger is right now. So it's going to come out from the wall. Sorry, Doc's just said Pavo pants. I love that. Yeah, so I've got a set of Pavo pants on. So I'm going to stick this. Basically, it'll be like somewhere around about there in the shot, but obviously against the back wall, and that directed onto those panels at the back will then just give it a nice little illumination. I'll be able to do something more with the color on those, just so they don't look so dark, because they always felt to me like they were a little bit sort of dark. You know, when I'm in this shot, those panels just sort of disappeared. The other thing I've obviously done is that is the first time I think it's on this stream and on this channel, is I've stuck some shelves at the back there, which was always something I intended to do, just to stick a couple of things of interest over there as well. So that is just one other little thing that I've done for the studio. So with all of that chaos, I think that is pretty much, having gone through in a 2-hour, 15-minute stream, pretty much all the things that I have got planned for the studio in terms of upgrades and things like that. I will just sort of reiterate once again that the whole point of, is any of this actually necessary to improve the content? The camera certainly is going to help improve the picture quality. This is still my Canon EOS 60D from 11 years ago that I bought before my daughter was born to, you know, take all the pictures of the kids. So it just got repurposed when we started using our mobiles for all of those things. But it is still a 11-year-old camera with just coming out of a USB with a 720 signal coming out of it. But Ecamm does a great job of upscaling that. And so that is what I've used on all of my channel. So you do have to say you don't need all of the latest stuff, but now I do have the ZV-E10, which will be going in this place, the ZV-1 for my top-down shot, so that's going to be a bit better for my Amazon videos. But really part of the point of all of this was just so that I can go through the process of doing the setup, because I'm getting a lot of consultation calls with people who are asking about, you know, how do I set up this? How do I set up that? And yeah, you know, if you want to set up a studio right from the start, then there is a particular way of doing it. And so that's why my sort of motivation for doing this. The biggest thing for me in terms of what's going to make the most difference, though, is actually the thing that isn't here yet. On a day-to-day basis, the thing that is going to really help me personally is this thing, which is is the 12.5-inch Lilliput monitor coupled with a much larger 14-inch teleprompter, because I spend so much time on Zoom calls speaking with people. This is the thing that's going to make the difference. So obviously, as soon as I've got everything all set up, then I will be doing a full video, you can bet, giving a studio tour of it all set up and working, rather than this complete bomb site of a desk which I've now got to clean up. So yeah, we're looking a little bit of a mess down here, but that is all for the studio update, and I will keep you posted with how it all goes. But yeah, as I say, it's not going to make any difference to the tutorial style videos or anything like that. It's just something that's nice to have in terms of an upgrade, and to be able to have the educational process of having gone through it to be able to help others to do it. So that is my motivation. I think I've covered my back there. I think I've justified the gas. Have I? Do I need to sign anything to that effect? Anyway, so that is all for today. Thanks so much for hanging out. If anybody has stuck through this all the way through, if you're watching on the replay, congratulations, your medal is in the post. And I will catch you all in another live stream. What I'll do is I'll leave a link to the video that I did of actually the studio build for this studio, because as I say, I was in my basement for the first sort of eight months on YouTube, something like that, or 7 months. And it was only sort of about this time last year that I started building out this studio, which is in a little cottage at the bottom of our garden. And so I'll leave a link to that over on the this side over here for people watching on the replay. And thanks so much to all of my channel sponsors as well, and members. It's been great to have your support, and really appreciate each and every one of you. Have a great day, everyone. I'll see you next time.